And I'm all the way up. Yeah, I'm all.
Am I too soft for you too, Catherine? I'm gonna
I
turn.
can hear you okay.
Okay. Um, might be headphones too, but oh, we're live. Hi, everybody. Forgive the technical difficulties, and I don't mean to be blocking out your face on this background, Xander. Sorry, let me reposition my chair a little bit. Oh, it is so good to be live with both of you today. Um, this is our third, third, I think, third or fourth New Year's Day live that we're doing. The other three are on recording on YouTube if anybody wants to go see them. I've never used StreamYard before today, so hopefully I can download them and put them up on Instagram because it streams to Facebook and it streams to YouTube and it streams to Twitter apparently, but it doesn't stream to Instagram. So yeah, today we're talking about Japanese culture-inspired fantasy. You two are known in the community so much. When I shared that we were doing this live, I got so many people that were just like, I can't believe you're actually going to go live with both of them. Because you guys represent the genre so well. So, for the sake of people watching, why don't you guys introduce who you are, and then I will introduce myself last.
Okay. All right, I'll hop in. So I'm Catherine Glenn. I'm a romantic fantasy author, also a writer mom. So, and I have a particular love, obviously, for Japanese culture and history and all that. So, that's what I write about.
And it's so good putting a face to your name. I was telling them on the
Thanks,
earlier live
reveal.
stream. I was like, I don't know that I've ever seen Catherine's face as much as we have in common and as much as we've talked. I don't think I've ever seen your face, so this is exciting.
Yep.
And Xander, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself too?
All right. Well, besides that, I can barely hear, so this is going to be fun. Um, I write. I write strange, dark stuff. That's what I do. Um, I have a bachelor's degree in history, and I apply that towards writing my fantasy, which has some political messages kind of hidden, tucked in there, and my own kind of unique perspective on things. I'm pretty gritty and pretty dark, and my first series that I've actually published, I've chosen to publish myself, self in to self-publish it, and it's takes place in Japan, or starts in Japan. We're not going to stay in Japan, but the first four books take place in Japan, and the first two are published. So, and it's all
Yay!
about folklore. There's a lot of folklore. It's magic realism, but in the future. So, and I
That's
won't bore you
awesome.
with anything else. There you go.
And so maybe if you have earphones, it might help the audio, is what Google says, but I don't know.
Pardon.
Oh, there's the book.
This is mirrored, so it's very strange. I have that one, and I have that one with a Gasha Dokuro on the cover. And here we go. Wait a minute. There we go. I've
So
completely mirror imaged around.
you have two books out.
Yep.
So the
And
origin
I'm
of the
working on an
wind is from.
anthology now that takes place in China, in this world in the future. So for an anthology called the Enchanted Forest, which is part of the Enchanted Waters, the Enchanted Anthology mix, which is really exciting. So I've been
Oh,
hyper focused on
nice.
working on that lately and getting that ready because it's due next week. So
Wow. Well,
I have to
thank you
finish
for
editing
taking
it.
the time to come out and like be here with all of us in the middle of all that craziness. So if anybody's interested in Xander's book, I'm just gonna drop it in the chat, and I'm gonna find one of Catherine's and drop that in the chat too. Uh, but yeah, that's really exciting. So the anthology, that's with Alice Avinia and some of the other authors in that group too, right? The Enchanted Waters, Enchanted, I think. Um, so let's see. Today we're mostly getting together to talk about what's going on in 2022. Happy New Year to
Happy
both
New
of
Year.
you. I don't know. Catherine, you might have to suggest, because I don't know how well my volume's coming through. If Xander might want to try some earphones, it might help with the audio, is what
I
Google
think
says.
I need to go and run away to get them, so I'll be right back.
Okay.
Yeah, I started with headphones, and that was not working once we started going here. So, yeah, very strange.
So one thing we've got in common for sure is the Realm of Darkness set. And
Yes.
for those of you who don't know, the Realm of Darkness set is a big anthology of 40 full-length paranormal and dark fantasy and regular fantasy romance novels that are coming out in October. And it went live today on Amazon for only 99 cents. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat for that. But both Catherine and I have books in that set. And Catherine, I want to hear what your book in the set is about, because it is uncanny how much I love the books you write. It just makes me think of Japan every time. Is this Realm of Darkness one going to be a Japan-based one?
Yeah, so it will be fantasy, so it's not Japan, but of course it's inspired by Japan. And this is going to be a fantasy romance featuring a Tengu demon as our hero, and we'll see a little forbidden romance developing with a human girl. So they're going to come together. We have some little time travel type stuff, like Souls Across Time type feel. So I'm still working on that now. I'm about halfway through. It's coming along nicely. So that's going to be that. It's called Wind Across the Silver Blade. So that's the story for that, and really excited about it. Just kind of this one I'm going. I typically am a planner when it comes to writing, and this one I'm kind of feeling this one out a little bit more and letting the story kind of develop as I go. So that's been really fun, and so I'm really looking forward to that.
It's really exciting. I have my aspect of the Japanese culture side of my books is I wrote 2 novellas from Ray's point of view for the Splitting World series, and she's a Tengu warrior princess and leading the Tengu people. And while it's a fantasy world, her culture is highly grounded, obviously being a Tengu, in just Japanese morals and Japanese community. And so her story ends after Down Falls the Queen and Down Falls the King, but coming up in the Splitting World series is Splitting Dawn, and that's the novel I'm putting in the Realm of Darkness set, and it's about a demon king, and vampire elves will make an appearance in it, and a human princess too. But I just love marrying my love of Japanese culture in with fantasy, which it sounds like both of you do as well. So Xander, tell us a bit about can you tell us a bit about the stories that are coming out this year in the anthologies, or are those like under lock and key?
I can't hear anything you're saying. It's actually the sound just went boom, completely down. So
No.
I could try to do it on my phone instead of my other machine and see if that will work better, because I have no sound whatsoever now again.
Oh
So
no.
I know I literally can't hear anything. I can barely read lips, so it's like.
I'm sorry. Sorry,
So,
but maybe you can use your.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. I'll be right back. I'm gonna switch off and try it.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. Oh, Iris is here. Hi, Iris. Good to see you.
So tricky.
Yes. It wouldn't be a new year without some kind of technical thing. The one before, literally 2 minutes before the live, my internet and my power went out. So I did the first one on my phone before this. So thank you all for bearing with me. So Catherine, you've spent time in Japan, right?
Yep. Yeah, I have. We've vacationed there twice. Actually, we went there, my husband and I, for our honeymoon back in 2008. So And then we loved it so much. We both are interested in Japan, so it was the perfect place for us to go and just explore and enjoy. And we went back again in 2013, and yeah, it's just such a beautiful country, and like, we just had a blast, and we miss it so much. We still talk about it. Already have our plans for the next visit. Where we're going to go, what haven't we seen yet? So yeah, it's just a great place. I highly recommend everyone go. It's difficult to get there, I know, but if
Yeah.
you can ever
Once we
visit,
get past the pestilence, the
yeah.
food
Oh,
is heavenly, and yeah, the scenery is gorgeous. Is there any specific place in Japan that has inspired your works that are coming up this year?
not like specifically, but um, the areas that I particularly enjoyed was oh, hey Xander.
Hey, I can hear.
Yay!
Awesome.
Yeah, we were just talking about Japan a little bit.
Yeah, so places that I really enjoyed was, when we were visiting the shrine, particularly in Nikko, the Toshibu Shrine.
Oh, yes.
Beautiful. And we went, actually, it was this drizzly, rainy day, but it was like mystical almost and like serene. It was, and it's a beautiful, beautiful temple. That was one place. My absolute favorite place is Asakusa in Tokyo, where Sensoji Temple is, and there's a lot of that old meets new
Yeah.
in that area. So that's kind of like my favorite neighborhood in Tokyo. So we go back there, and yeah, it's just I could go on and on about all the wonderful danger once you start talking about Japan, right? You
Yeah,
could go
yeah.
on and on, but
For me, I think one of my favorite places is in Osu, Kanon, Nagoya. Of
mhm.
course, that's closer to where I consider my hometown in Japan, Toyotashi. But there, again, there's a big temple there, and it's active. And I don't know. I knew that being on this stream was going to make me a little homesick, but I do think the culture has made more of an appearance in my books than necessarily the setting, since minor
Yeah.
fantasy. But maybe someday I'll write an urban fantasy or something that takes place in Japan and make use of some of these places that I've been. But how about you, Xander? Have you been to Japan, and have they affected your writing if you have?
No, I actually have never been to Japan. I want to go. I'm actually learning how to speak Japanese now, which is
Yay!
alongside Chinese. That's very fun and
Oh.
challenging. And um, yeah, no, I haven't actually been. I really want to go very much. I actually watched lots of videos. I've watched different walkthroughs of different areas of Tokyo and different shrines and stuff just to get as close as I can to doing it because I just can't afford to do it right now. But
Yeah.
as soon as I can, oh yeah, that's definite. I would love to spend a
Yeah.
year there.
So like Paolo in Tokyo and Cakes with Faces.
Sorry?
Oh, Paolo in Tokyo and Cakes with Faces. The
I've
YouTuber.
seen Paolo. Shogo from Kyoto.
Mm-hmm.
And let's ask Shogo his channel. His channel's great, by the way. I just want to shout him out because he's awesome.
Yeah, there's so many good ones, and I know that later today on the Dark Young Adult Fantasy, Lily Rook is joining, and she's actually in Japan right now. She's living in Japan, I think. But with the pestilence, it's been hard to travel. So Catherine was saying while you were off that if people have a chance, it's really a great place to visit. But Xander, what I was asking earlier before the audio glitch, I'm sorry about that, is what can you tell us about your books that are coming in 2022, or is it like under lock and key?
Well, actually, I'm working on the third book in this series right now. It's in beta, and as soon as I get all the beta back, I'm going to be editing probably in late January, I think. And that's on my Yoji Gambit, which is the third in this series. Following a Kitsune, who is originally a
divine messenger of Inari, and he falls and becomes the other side of what a kitsune can be, which is a demon, and he becomes a yakuza assassin
Oh
and
wow.
has lots and lots of adventures that are sometimes very smarmy and sometimes just there's a lot of political edge to it, and it's his very vulpine take on society, humans, everything in general.
Hmm.
So,
Wow.
and
So
on top of that, I'm also working on this really cool story that for an anthology, and I'm still trying to get all the bugs worked out of. That has one of the characters that appears in the Dragon game, and that was as a dragon named Lord Bai, who's in China. So this takes place actually during the time of my 11th book in the series, but this is only book 3. This is a 20-book series.
wow.
So yeah, that's it's going to be very long and very drawn out, but
So
because we're
have you
going through 10
considered
years of
doing
dystopia,
graphic novel with it?
I would love to make a graphic novel of this. It should be. It should be anime. It really should.
That's what I think of
Yeah.
when I think of both of your writing. I'm like, we need anime of this, especially, Catherine. So many of your things are anime and drawn out, and I was like, I just want to see all of this world.
Me too.
So somebody asked a question on the first live today, and I've just been carrying it through the lives because it was just so interesting to me. And it's what drew you to writing this specific subgenre of fantasy as opposed to any of the others out there.
Meaning Japanese inspired.
Yeah, Japanese
Mhm.
inspired. What is it about the Japanese culture or things like that that makes you bring that in? Because now, Asian inspired, I think, is the Amazon category, is like an official subcategory.
Right.
And
Oh, I gotta get into that.
yeah, you should go get into that.
For real.
It's and there's like Asian myths and legends, I think, and a couple others on there. So yeah, there's so many genres. So what made you decide, hey, as much as I love Japan, this is how I want to set my book up?
Yeah. Well, for me, it's yeah, I kind of like prescribe to the write what you love, thing. And as I said, I write romantic fantasy, so I'm already ingrained in the epic fantasy, with romance. Um, and I just thought, hey, you know what? I love Japan. I love Japanese culture, the history. There's so much rich history there to draw on. And my other series that's currently out, the Shadow of World Saga, is based heavily in um, the Edo period um, of Japan, which is the 1800s in particular. And yeah, just so fascinating and different, and it speaks to me. And I said, hey, you know what? Like that's what I want to write about. That's what I'm into. And again, write what you love. If you're enjoying what you're loving, what you're writing, that's going to come out in the story. So so really it just speaks to me in that way.
Yeah. Alexandra says, Catherine, smiley faces.
Hi, Alexandra.
And we also have Iris on. Says, yes, I would love an anime. Yeah, I would love an anime. People, when they first heard about The Violet Twisted Fate, which came out last year, and it's my epic fantasy and doesn't have any Japanese references to it except a couple cultural carryovers that are slightly worked in. Um, they were like, "Do you imagine this being a movie?" I was like, "Honestly, I'd see it more as an anime than a movie." And the same thing for Starfire Express that's coming up this year. I do have a lot of Japanese mythological creatures that are going to be in Starfire Express. I do have a Tengu. I've got a Kappa and a couple of others that are going to be in there because she gets on this train and it's a train full of monsters. There's no humans except her, and she's swept up in this big adventure. So I'm excited to introduce a few more things because it's been amazing. The people, they're like, I've never heard of a Tengu. And I was like, oh, well, here's what a Tengu is. So how
It's a
about
great
you,
way for us to
Xander?
bring that, into the sphere. People get to know these characters that you don't see. Everyone knows Kitsune, and from Inuyasha, right? All the yokai, So starting to explore some of the lesser known creatures from mythology is really fun.
Yeah. So Xander, what about Japanese culture and everything made you choose that as part of your stories?
I've had a love affair with Japanese culture since I was a little kid and saw Godzilla. I'm not going to kid, I've always had a love for it, and I found anime later on and loved it then. And with this story, I finished my like trilogy, which was this huge trilogy. I still trunked. It is this huge, enormous thing with this huge, enormous number, and I've got to like do the thing that all first-time authors do when they start writing epic fantasy and they read Robert Jordan and they write
Oh
too
yeah.
long. And I have my first book is like over 302,000 words.
Oh
So
wow.
obviously I've got to trim it. Um, but in the case, I put it aside and I decided, I started watching this one anime and I saw an image actually when I was looking up inspiration pics because there is a little bit of Japanese culture. I've worked into this Welsh series of this bard that goes on a world trip to learn bardism from all these different cultures. And I was looking up these images and I saw an image from an anime of a kitsune, and it just, because most of them are female and this one was male, it just drew me immediately to him. And after that, I started coming up with this story. It just sort of infected me, and the story came out of it, and it's just never really stopped. And within 3 years, I had like 3,000 years of this creature's life in my head,
Wow.
and I just have to write it. I can't explain it. I have to do it.
Yeah.
And the first four books, you're going to get a lot of yokai. This is like steeped. He lives in the yokai. It's like if the magical world was real, and if there were ghosts and monsters and magical things, and we weren't really allowed to know about it, but they existed beside us hiding, that's the kind of world this creature lives in. It's just that his world is the future. If these things still happen to live among us all the way through up into the future. And this is how he lives his life in a yokai world that's hidden beside the human world and acting alongside it with humans who don't have a clue except for a very few. That like there's people who just are mystics and people who just have seen them or have to live with them and they know about it, and otherwise you're not supposed to know, and you can die for knowing. And there are dragons, and dragons rule all these megapolises that we're seeing actually right now, like in the rise of Tokyo is a big huge megapolis, Shenzhen over in China, there's just huge places are just rising up. So if you think about a world that is gone and become very polluted the way ours is going, and people have to live in these cities in order to survive, that alongside of monsters, that's the world I'm writing about.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, you've got a fan here, I think. Hello, Hayate.
Oh, is that Iris?
Yeah, that's Iris.
Iris is awesome. She's a fantastic author, by the way, so I just want to shout her out too.
Oh, okay. Now I've got to go look her up. Oh, so yeah. So speaking of, I don't know, your cosplay. That's your main character, right?
Yes, that is Hayate.
That's awesome. I mean, all the and seeing you guys and seeing your faces has just been such a pleasure that so many people have talked about, because we usually only see you, Xander, in cosplay, at least in Instagram world, and then Catherine, you've got your your picture too. Did you draw that yourself?
Oh no, I wish. No, I have an illustrator who's fabulous. So
Wow. So maybe we need to beg your illustrator for manga.
I'll have to consider that definitely.
It's it. So we are all indie authors here. Unless you guys have news I don't know about. Xander, are you traditional?
No, not yet.
Okay.
This series I don't want to be. I want to be
And
able to
that's
have
a
the
really
freedom
good
to write
point.
anything in this. Because he's a fox. You're gonna get his perspective, and not everyone's gonna like it. And it's first person, so there you go.
Yeah, yeah. So we're all indie authors, and I think it's been really interesting connecting within the community with other authors that write similar things, and also readers that don't necessarily see what they're looking for in mainstream fiction as far as Japanese culture is concerned. So, are there any projects that you're really excited about, maybe from other authors, coming in 2022?
Um, right now, I'm always interested in seeing what Iris is doing because Iris is great, and I read her. Otherwise, right now I'm just so hyper focused on getting Pingwa's story out that and getting it right and making sure all the opinion is right on the names and all that stuff. And it's due like on Tuesday.
Oh,
So yeah, so I've got it's like 10,000 words. So
wow.
I'm got it. I've got it nailed. I can do it. It's just like, yeah, that's where my world has been. It's just like, and then I got to read all the others. We're about to baby read each other, and it's I'm really looking forward to this project really because it's devoted to getting to for forests, and the proceeds are all going to a charity for forests.
Oh,
So
wow.
we're really
So if
hoping to make an impact and help out there.
that's great. So I'm gonna drop your Instagram accounts in the comments. So if um, you want to follow Xander on Instagram, I'm putting that in. I'm about to drop Catherine's in, and you can keep up with all the projects all year. Alexandra says, Catherine, beg her for a drawing of Hagane.
It's coming. That's all I'll say.
That's one of the things about being indie is that we don't necessarily have the budget sometimes for the big publishers things, but I think it means every little thing means so much to readers of indie, and we appreciate all of you who support us so much. I think just watching this past year has been overwhelming. When did you first put indie books out?
I started back in 2016. Was my first romantic fantasy book, which was not Japanese inspired. It was European fantasy. Um, and then my second was born, and I took a long break from writing. So I just recently, in the last few years, have been coming back. Um, and working through and trying to work through all my projects and ideas. I have such a long list of things. So I'm really excited about these years now that the kids are older and going to school. So really, really excited to get my stories out there and share with everyone.
How about you, Xander? How long have you been publishing indie now?
I published my first book in 2019, in November 2019, and I published the second one in October of last year. I'm a little disappointed that actually, I should say in 2021 or 2020, because I have not published in 2021. I'm really disappointed, but ultimately it's about making the book really good. And this year just has been crazy. So I'm really just hoping to, as soon as I get all the betas back, to really get in there and just really get this one out, because then I've already got like what 50K devoted towards the book following it, book 4, and I want to get that out next autumn while doing this anthology and everything else, and maybe getting an Audible out. Yeah.
So is this anthology in the same set as like Alice Avina's world? I think Alice and oh goodness, I can't remember. That were in the Enchanted Waters.
Yeah, it's a part of the Enchanted Waters like anthology. It's the one that's coming out next.
Nice. And if you guys don't know, the Enchanted Waters anthology is another great anthology to add. I know everybody's compiling their 2022 TBRs, so Xander's book is in the comments, and so is Catherine's book in the comments. Realm of Darkness is big. It's the 40-volume set, but it won't come out till October. So if you're looking for stuff to read in the meantime, there are tons of other authors like Katherine and Xander that we're going to be showcasing today and tomorrow. So hopefully you can find some new indie reads to both support the indie community and also find something that you love for the new year. But thank you so much, both of you, for joining. I'm so sorry again for all the technological issues, and thank you everybody who joined in as a viewer. This has been so much fun. The next live is coming up this evening at 6 p.m. Central. We're going to do young adult dark fantasy. And then tomorrow we've got 2 left. One in the morning with fairy tale retellings. And Alice will actually be in that one from the Enchanted Waters set, along with USA Today bestselling author Astrid VJ. And then we have the Writers of Rohan coming in tomorrow to sort of close us out. So it's been a lot of a lot of fun. You can catch the recordings or hit the subscribe button and notify the notification bell if you want to know when we go live. But thank y'all so much. This has been awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you.
Such a pleasure to meet you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.